Hi, I'm Joy. I'm a journalist, I'm an author, I'm a mom, and I'm a Prince fan. And I, like you, am trying to find ways to live a more joyful life during this crazy time that we're living in. The Joy Hour is just that, conversations with people about how they're living their lives and how they're finding joy. Thank you for watching. Everyone, this is the Joy Hour, and it is my weekly celebration of people that I have interviewed over the years, and a way to connect with people during this pandemic. Um, I was looking at I felt so kind of disconnected as we all are socially distancing. So I am so happy tonight. I am talking with some ladies who I just admire about what they do. Let me introduce Jan Hargrave. She is a world-renowned body language expert. Now, that's really simplified, but she is phenomenal. And then we have the phenomenal
That's my thing.
Tera Stidum, who is owner of She Dates Savvy, and she is an online dating coach. Is that
yeah. And dating in general.
And dating coach. She helps you find love and that forever partner. And so I'm hoping to learn from both of you. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you for having us. Yeah, we're glad to be here and teach some things and let everybody know about body language of romance and body language of love and body language of liars and body language of truth tellers. All of that together can be covered today.
And wait, and I also didn't say they both are published authors. So they both have books and websites and social media. So you need to follow, buy their book, everything. So yeah. Okay, so let's start with, how have you been during the pandemic? What have you been doing?
You go first, Jan.
You want me to go first?
Yes.
Okay, I'll go first because normally I spend my time traveling to an event and speaking and teaching nonverbal, but thank goodness people are realizing now that we're doing these webinars. And what I had done in March when this first happened, I thought, well, how will they ever need some information on body language? But then I put my thinking cap on, went deep into my research. And then what I started researching and finding out is that there are ways that you can sell yourself better during a virtual conversation than you can in person. So I went to this big research, and I call it now the triple threat: how you can use your eyes, how you can use your hands, how can you use your body language to make you look trustworthy. Because it had said in their research originally that it takes about 2 weeks of virtual conversations to be as socially grounded as it did with a handshake. So one handshake, you kind of figure someone else out, but now you have these virtual means, and that's the only thing you have in common with them. But once I teach you, a few things that you can do with your hands, you can do with your shoulders, you can do with your eyes, with your face. It takes about, I would say, 2 virtual calls, and you can be as socially grounded as you were. So that's what I've been doing now. I put that little twist on mine. It's called nonverbal communication that builds trust and emotional well-being during social distancing and during virtual conversations. So now I've been doing webinars daily on the subject area for groups. So I'm excited.
That's fantastic.
I love that. She found her pivot. Like, I love that you found your pivot. And for me, I think that it's almost one of those situations where it's like, oh, you guys have now finally found me. Because I started my company 4 years ago, and my company focuses on teaching ladies how to virtually date and meet people, because I just know that for a lot of busy ladies and professionals who are out there, that's how you're going to meet. That's how I met my husband. That's why I do what I do, because it wasn't that I couldn't go to a place and meet a man in person. I just didn't have time to get to the place. And so virtual just worked. And so when everything happened with the pandemic, actually, you were one of the people who helped me realize, oh, people are still talking about dating, because in the beginning, I was like, nobody wants to talk about dating. Like, it seems like the whole world was just depressed and there was this dark cloud. And Joy and I were having a conversation, and she's like, an ex reached out to me. And I was like, really? And then she's like, another one reached out to me. And I was like, well, by the way, one reached out to me as well, And so we started having these conversations, and I just started saying, okay, let me see if people want to talk about dating. And sure enough, the ladies did. And what I did was the same as Jan. Like, I got creative. I created a brand new webinar called Dating While Social Distancing. And it taught ladies not only how to connect online, because obviously that's what I primarily show you how to do, but it also taught them how to have the virtual date. So I'm excited that Jan's going to be able to tell them, you know, okay, girl, if he's looking at you this way, or if he can't look at the camera, or if it's under his chin. So I'm excited about that. But that's what I've been doing. I finished up my second book, Smart Girls Still Don't Date Dumb. So I've been working and grinding, girl.
But you know, I love that. I love that, you know, you're finding your space in this weird place that we're in right now. I mean, that's pretty amazing, because no one knew, I didn't know the word pandemic before pandemic. I
heard it, but I never, not in relation to what it really meant, right? Like we knew pandemic, like it affected me. But the fact that, oh, this is a truly global thing, like it's truly global. And this is, I think, the first time where no matter what your socioeconomic background was, your educational background, your race, none of those, we were all affected by this. We were all sat down by this. And that's probably, I mean, for the first time in my history, something that I can relate to where it's like, oh, everyone's affected by this. So.
Right. So Tera, you mentioned that you met your husband online, which kind of moved you into this new world that you're in now. Jan, how did you get into body language?
Well, I was sitting in a graduate psychology class. I'm from Louisiana, so I was at the University of Louisiana, did my graduate work there. And I had a professor who would walk around and he would point at someone and he would say, I know what you're thinking, and I know what you're thinking, and I know what you're thinking. And one day he looked at me and he said, Jan, I know what you are thinking. And I thought, shoot, I mean, I said, so you mean you can look at someone's hands and arms and, you know, body motions and tell what's going on? He said, oh yeah, you can do it. Because I thought, I'd like to know what people are thinking too. And when he said that to me, I was dating someone and I happened to say to my college professor, I said, so when this man tells me he loves me, I can figure out if he's telling the truth. And I said, oh yeah, girl, you can do it. I said, I need to learn this stuff. Because I said, and the great thing is that I've used it on every boyfriend, every husband, not that I've had a lot of husbands, just two, but I've used it on every boyfriend, every person I've ever met. Because there are things that people do with their hands when they're lying, and there's things that people do with their hands when they're telling the truth, with their eyes, with their shoulders, with their body. So, you know, I work in the courtroom and I pick juries in the courtroom about honesty or deception. You can still use that in the business world or in a relationship. Yeah. That's okay. So all the
real life,
all the things that you studied in the courtroom, you can use it in real life. So that's how I got into it, Joy. Then I ended up teaching a college course on the subject area. I was initially teaching attorneys how to pick better juries. That's how it started off. I was teaching attorneys how to spot who was confident, who was nervous, who was honest, who was dishonest. And then from there, groups started hiring me to go out and speak. And so I started training. And now I have 5 books. So one book is job interview body language. One is negotiation body language. One is presentation skills body language. One is courtroom body language. And one is relationship body language. But I have another one called Poker Face. It's the body language of poker players. So I've done my job in writing those books. That's enough. No more now. Yeah. So that's how I got into it. And what's that?
I said, I need the Poker Face book because I don't have one.
You don't have a poker face? I can teach you a little poker face. But you know what? During the social distancing time, it's almost easier for me to do body language when someone's on a virtual call than it was when I was in a meeting with someone. And the great thing about from 6 feet away, it's easy because from 6 feet away, I can look at your face, I can look at your shoulders, I can look at your posture, I can look at your feet, because every part of you sends me a message. In fact, body language is 55% of our communication. So it's like how you carry yourself. I mean, the whole bit. So yes, it's been to my advantage. And when I first started doing the research in March, you know, it was, would people wear masks or not? So several companies called me and they said, Jan, can you give us a presentation on how to read an emotion, even though someone's wearing a facial mask? So which is true. Good. If you're in contact with someone, how can you read the emotion? But the way that you can read them, because emotions are not just in the bottom part of the face, emotions are in the top part of the face too. So even if I have a mask here and I'm smiling, you could see that I'm smiling because a real smile involves the whole face. Like this is just to be polite. So you can usually tell from here, you can tell sorrow sometimes in this part of the head. So yeah, now I've researched that, how to get an emotion from even behind a mask.
Well, they say the eyes are the window to the soul.
Yeah.
Windows to the soul. And supposedly when you're having a conversation with someone, you're supposed to look at them about 60 to 70% of the time that you're talking with them, because eye contact, good eye contact, it releases a hormone called oxytocin. It's released by the pituitary gland. And when you have this good eye contact, so I try to teach people when they're on virtual conversations, you have to look at the camera. You can't be just looking at the screen.
Yeah.
You're going to have to look at the camera, because you want to build that trust really quickly with the person you're negotiating with the person you're dating. So that's why it's so important that sometimes you look at the camera and not necessarily looking at their face.
Interesting. Okay, so Tera, talk to me about what are the issues with dating today? I mean, a lot of people are swiping left and swiping right and online and matching it and plenty of fish and all of those.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many issues, but I think bigger than just the issues, I think is just maybe the way that people go about doing it, right? I think that if a lot of ladies take it really like too seriously, if you will, like they take it too seriously and it's not fun. So it becomes a chore and it's easy to quit something that you don't enjoy doing anyway, right? So if you're not having fun doing it, you'll find yourself like, oh, well, I'm just going to leave because no, I didn't like the matches, or I didn't, like what the messages that they sent to me. And so for the most part, if they're not having any fun doing it, right? That's the first thing. Like you have to go into it with the right mindset. Whenever I would go online, and I call myself an OG of online dating just because, again, it just made sense for my life. Like it made sense for my busy life. And I remember back in the day, I went on a date, and my girlfriend Georgetta would tell you, she's like, yep, she sure did. I went on a date with a guy who's in his profile picture had a pink suit on. Why? Because I needed to know why he wore the pink suit. And she called him, she's like, what about pink suit? I'm like, I gotta go. I just have to go. Because to me, those were either going to be, the matches that were like, oh, that's the love of my life, or it was gonna be a fantastic.
In a pink suit?
Pink suit. I went on a date with a guy in a pink suit. I've been on a date with a rocket scientist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because to me, these were either going to be, again, great matches or great conversations, right? Like great conversations. Yeah. And so I always look at dating that way, and I understand that everyone doesn't. But if I can tell ladies anything, it's to kind of loosen up, just lighten up just a little bit, especially now when you're talking about, usually the thing that I would hear from women was, I'm not going to do that, girl, because me crazy online, and oh no, I'm not. And so now I'm like, what about now, girl? Because how are you going to meet him otherwise? Like when you're at the grocery store, you can't even see his face, right? Yeah. You can pray that he's smiling at you, look at the eyes like Jan told you, see if he's smiling. But at least with online, it gives you a full glimpse into who that person is, even if it's just who they're presenting online. We get to the next step of having conversations text-wise or on the app or computer, and then getting to the phone, and then getting to the virtual dates. And again, I'm excited that Janet's gonna tell us how to be able to read their body language. But truly, 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 this is now like the sign that this is the time. Like this is it. This is your future. And so hop on, have some fun, and hopefully learn some really good skills. That's what I teach ladies. I teach you how to do it successfully, because I've bombed. I've sent messages and didn't get a response. But guess what? I kept going. So because I didn't take myself so seriously and didn't just, I licked my wounds, but I kept going. So that's what I got to say about that.
So how many dates did you go on before you met your husband?
Oh God, in life?
Well, online, when you started online dating.
So here's the thing. I would date online in spurts, right? So I would maybe from time to time meet someone socially, like maybe at a family function. Like if we had people in common, I would meet someone that way. But then there were times where it's like, okay, I don't have time to go out, so I would go online. And I only say that because this last time when I met my husband, he was one of two people that I messaged. And so I gotta say, I have to preface it with, hey, I've been on many online dates, because I don't want anyone to think that, it happened to you in just 2 messages. Yeah, but I've been doing it for a while, right? Like, I don't want to be, I don't want to misconceive, like, I don't want to give the misconception that it happened overnight, but it did, just because it was the right time for me.
Yeah. Right. Hey, and what she was saying about, you know, girls are sometimes not having fun. I just want to address that for a minute, because flirting is playing. Because when we were little, we played peekaboo. You know, it was our way to play with our mom, play with a friend. That is still what we're doing as adults in when we're dating. So flirting is meant to be fun. It's a playful little game. It's nothing to be serious about at the end. And the research does say that 85% of all courtship gestures are began by women, and women who start a courtship gesture typically get it returned to them. So it might be in an, you know, we think guys are looking at us in the airport. The woman needs to give the gesture. 85% of all courtship gestures are started by women, and women who start them get them returned to them.
Jan, I sent the first message to my husband. Bam. That's what I want the girls to know. Like, get out of your own way. Even in my webinars, I teach the savvy flirt factor, because a lot of girls, they don't even know how to flirt in real life. So imagine them online. Oh my God, right? And so
okay, well, let me give you a test then. I'll give you a test. I have this flirting profile that's included in one of my books, but I said, let me see which questions would be the best to ask these girls tonight. Okay, so one would be this: the most seductive part of the hand is the thumb, the finger, or the wrist?
I would say the wrist.
You're right, it's right here.
Because the most seductive is the wrist?
All of this.
Because in older movies, the black and white movies, you know, they would make a girl smoke a cigarette so that eventually she would go with this gesture here. So this, when someone sees this exposed, Joy, you could do this all day tomorrow. It says, I'm available.
I'm available.
You got that one right. Okay, so let me give you another one. Let's say, okay, the most flirtatious way to leave a room is A, make a point to say goodbye to everyone. B, thank the host. Give air kisses to everyone in sight. The most flirtatious way.
Air kisses, really?
Of course, air kisses are the ones that does the best.
So like, oh.
I was gonna say, shake your butt when you walk away. Like,
oh, it could be. Okay, let me ask you one more. The best way to flirt while enjoying a liquid refreshment is A, order a drink that comes with a straw. B, order a drink that comes with an umbrella, or order a shot of anything.
Oh, the umbrella. I like the shot. The umbrella shows flirty fun, right? The umbrella is like flirty fun, and listen, yes, Jan.
Yeah, it might be flirty fun, but the shot is the answer. The shot is the answer.
Shot. I know the shot. The shot.
Yeah. Okay, does it show that you're like open and down for things? And
yeah. Okay. That you're tough. You want another one?
I like this.
You like this? Okay, let me give you another one. Okay. Let's say, okay, this one. To arouse the attention of an attractive person who is walking a dog, Joy, you would A, comment on the dog, begin to talk to the dog, or C, wink and smile coyly towards the attractive person. So what's the sexiest thing to do?
Come on, Joy. We got to get your boyfriend. Come on. What would you do, Joy?
Comment on the dog.
It's okay, but that's not the sexiest thing. The sexiest thing to do would be to wink and smile coyly towards the attractive person. That's okay, Joy. I will send you this 2-page test to complete, and then I want to see.
I need it, which is why I have 2 dogs.
Those are just kind of cute. So now, Joy, when you see someone you like, just go around with your
and do air kisses and wink.
Okay. Well, you know, it's interesting. I will say this. I've had more men say something to me with my dogs.
Yes.
More men, they bar none, more than any other place.
And that's perfect. That's beautiful.
It's more men. It doesn't matter what race. It does. More men talk to me, and I think because they're boxers, they're big dogs.
Yes.
You don't normally see a woman by herself with 2 big dogs, and they're muscle breeds. So,
So Joy, you did not even realize that those men were probably flirting with you, because
I
when there's a
probably
third
wasn't.
point of, let's say a man and a lady are in line at the bank, and a good way for her to flirt with him is not to talk about something about him, is to maybe see something from across the room and start talking about that. So that's a way to flirt with someone, when you focus the attention of the two. It's like a sly way to flirt with you, that you focus on the attention of something, a third object. So then you missed a lot of good dates.
Yeah. So that's why I need both of you in my head, because see, I thought that they were liking my dog because they wanted a boxer.
They like you.
Even if they were liking the dog, a man who is attractive, who stops to talk, I'm going to take notice. When I was a single lady, I was going to take notice. And I think that that's what a lot of ladies miss out on. They have those moments where it's like, you got the guy, he's in your face. If you like him remotely, girl, he's something like, oh, how often do you come over? You know, something like that, where you at least get the conversation going. Oh, you know what? Maybe let's exchange numbers, because I'm usually here, but sometimes if I can't find a reason, like literally find a reason to get that conversation started. Don't be afraid. Like, you never know what could happen.
Yeah.
Cheers to that, right?
Okay. All right. So here's the thing. So someone asked on Facebook, Jan, what is our body language saying?
I was
Right
now?
Well, the good thing about Joy is that your shoulders are even to me when I'm speaking with you, and that's how you have to approach these people on the calls, because you know, unevenness of shoulders is indecisiveness of person. So whenever you can make sure that, so you never want to stay like this the entire call. You want to make sure that you're even this way.
Okay.
And Joy, you know, and like Tara's kind of coming at me from a side angle, which like Tara, like you're posing for a portrait is what it looks like, but it's very seductive. So I'm really pleased to see that. So I was so busy talking that I'd have to watch your hand motions for a minute. But you know, the good thing is that it's wonderful to see people use their hands, because that's how your sweet little personality comes out to others. So people say, oh, I couldn't talk. If I couldn't use my hands, I couldn't speak. And I say, use your hands, because those hands give me information about you. And the interesting thing is, when you move your right hand, it's because you're getting information that's on the left side of your brain out, because your left side of your brain is your math and your science and your history. Everything you ever memorized is right here. So if I'm adding numbers inside my head and have trouble adding them, I'll move my right hand. It's going to relax me, and then I can finally say those numbers. When I move my left hand is controlled by my right side of my head. And my right brain, this is a creative, this is a comical. When people tell a lie, it comes from this side of their head. And more so when they lie, they tend to gesture with the left hand. Most of our lies with the left hand, because the left hand is controlled from the right creative side of the brain. You see, anything I move on my left side, if I move my hand, my leg, my eye, all of the motion I do on my left side, that is controlled from the right side of my brain. And anything I move on the right side of my body, that's controlled on the left side of my head. Because I'm certain that you've witnessed people who've had strokes, and you could always tell which side of their brain they had the stroke on, because the opposite side of their body would not be working sufficiently. Right. That's how you can usually tell. You see?
You know, hey, Jan, so talk to me, you know, in brief about how, like, what are the best body language? I know you talked about flirtation and things like that, but just what does love body language say?
Okay, love body language. Yeah. Well, I can give you several gestures that men do when they're really attracted to you. And I can give you several gestures that ladies do when they're really attracted to someone. So I'll start with men first. And it's kind of interesting. Now we can't see people's feet, but that feet play a big, big part in this love relationship, y'all, because of feet, you know, it goes down to Cinderella and things of that sort. So the number one gesture, when a guy is interested in you and he does not know how to tell you that he's interested in you, most guys will immediately reach down and pull up their socks gently. Sock pulling is one of the number ones, you know, and they'll just do it nonchalantly, but the pulling up of the socks goes back to the old adage where you would have two men talking with each other, and one would say, you need to see this guy, this girl, she'll knock your socks off. That's where that comes from. So they may reach down and pull up the sock. They may even retie the shoe. And those are what we call in body language displacement gestures. They're gestures that are done so that you don't focus directly on them, that they can kind of, you know, make you look somewhere else. So guys tend to do that when they're interested in you. Another one that I often would see at bars, guy and a girl would be sitting there and he's holding on to a Coca-Cola can, And so ladies, what does a guy do? If there's a can in his hand and he's nervous around you, he squeezes it, he lets it. Every time he squeezes that can, he's thinking to himself, I'd like to squeeze you, baby. So you might want to watch the cans of the guys you talk with. And then men more so, men preen, men will kind of push their hair back. And so that's a grooming gesture. And it's a good gesture for men to do because they're thinking to themselves, do I look good enough for you? So many times they'll do this. That's a preening. We call it preening gesture. Arranging the tie is a preening gesture. Pulling on the cufflink, sometimes they'll pull on the cufflink here or pull on their shirt. They'll make sure their shirt is pulled down. That is a courtship gesture. And another big one is that when they take their thumbs and they tuck the thumbs in the pants and the fingers are pointed towards the zipper area. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm saying? I can't do it. It's a huge courtship gesture. I mean, just little minor things. And another one that you might want to notice that sometimes people will do is they will groom you. You might be talking with them and they'll maybe pull a piece of hair off of your shirt. That also, it's a sign of ownership that they're thinking, I would like to, this is mine. I want to get near this person a little bit closer. So those are a lot of signs. So let me give you a few ladies gestures. Wait,
Jen, can I ask you a question about a guy? Because once on a date, we had gone out dancing, so I had my heels on, and they were the type of heels that were open down at the bottom of my feet. So like if the bottom between my, I guess my heel and my toe, that part was open. And I had my leg crossed and he just like swiped across there.
And Tara, let me ask you this. I bet you can still remember that touch.
Jen, stop.
I don't remember.
Like, wait a minute, brother, what are you doing? It was rocket science. I know. I'm like, you got really fresh really fast. Like, what is happening here?
But see, like, I don't like people touching my feet or my ears. That just is like, no, that's not, no.
Because those are vulnerable areas right in here. You see, it's like exposing the neck is a vulnerable. People who are nervous around you will usually scratch on their neck, and they scratch about 5 times. It's an insecurity gesture. They'll do this, they'll talk, and they kind of pull here. Yeah. Okay. So Tara, that's so good. In my book, the book that I did on love, I did do a chapter on shoes, and I put men's shoes and I put women's shoes, and listed all the different kinds of shoes that you see people wear. That would be a great show to do, is on just shoes. But supposedly women who wear shoes with strategically open areas or wear open toe shoes and stuff, they typically wear underclothing with strategically open areas too.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's a lot. That's
no comment.
That's a lot.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah. Okay.
I love that.
Okay, let me give you a couple that ladies do. Let me give you a couple of gestures that women do. And most men think, oh, she touched her hair, she's bound to like me. That is not the first thing that ladies do. Ladies do 3 things before we even touch our hair. And a lot of ladies gestures while she's dating and that she can see someone. I'll give you some that you can watch for in the camera, but typically what I teach is this. The first thing that a lady does is if she likes you, she's gonna always cross her leg towards you. So women always cross their legs towards people they like and away from people they don't like.
True. Yeah.
And once she's crossed towards you to get your attention, a woman starts this slow kick. A slow kick is like, yeah, buddy, you better look here. You never want to see a lady kicking fast. A fast kick is an impatience gesture.
Oh,
so
it's
just
slow. The fast and the slow, yeah.
And then the
fast and slow. Yeah.
The number one gesture that ladies do when they're really attracted to someone is that a woman will begin to dangle her shoe off the tip of her toe. That is the number one. So that's why.
That one too.
That's why for men and women, feet play this big part. It goes back to the Cinderella effect. The beginning of time, it was shoes that were hung behind cars. Now it's cans and everything. And in some countries, a red shoe is placed at the doorstep to let the people who pass by know that there's someone available in that home. Some countries, they put a shoe in the cement it's like a grounding kind of ceremony. So feet are really important. Then after she's done those 3, then she more than likely will go into her hair. And the more she goes into her hair, the more she's into that person. But another quick gesture that someone could watch for, you know how we as women will clasp our hands this way and we'll take our upper cross knee and hold on to our knee.
Yeah.
And we do that. Joy, you might be doing it now. When someone does this in the presence of someone they find attractive, it's a nonverbal that says, I'd like myself. So we tend to do that. Women also tend to rub themselves. Now this is going to sound crazy, but I'll say it like the books say. We tend to rub ourselves or touch ourselves in areas that we would want someone else to touch us. For example,
okay, that is a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. Huh? Yes, you're doing it, Tara. So you know, Mariah will take her hands and pass them all the way down her body into her hips. You know, she's going like this as she sings.
Yes,
so
touch my body. Yes.
Yeah, touch my, or we might hold on to a thigh and our legs across, but we tend to more so hold on to something on us that we want someone else to hold on to. Women lick their lips. Women bite on their lips, kind of a Marilyn Monroe effect, gets our bottom lip a little bit redder. I mean, there are hundreds, so ask me some more questions and I'll give you some more.
Jen, you're gonna get my girls in trouble at home on these virtual dates. Like when they're on their virtual dates, because they're gonna be all like this and with their shoes and their feet in the air.
All right, okay, so let's go back to the virtual dating. How does that happen? Tara, talk about to me how does this process happen now?
So in the simplest of ways, wait, before I even tell you how to virtually date, I want you to make it an occasion. Like, I don't want it to just be a situation where you're like, can you get online? Can you get online? Sure, we'll get online. Make it an actual date. I have a client in Dallas and she was at the point of virtual dating with a guy because they've been having conversations. Now, here's the interesting thing. They met online right before the pandemic, right before things shut down. So they had met in person like once or twice. Well, then as the pandemic happened, they had to maintain this courtship because they did like one another while socially distancing. And so one of the things that I told her to do is I want you to send him an e-bike. I want you to make this an occasion, like a real date, right? Where you're actually saying, hey, will you meet me online? You know, Saturday at 7 p.m. We'll have dinner together. You bring your favorite, I'll bring my favorite. We'll talk about it together, right? So that's one really quick and easy way, first of all, to get the date started, because now there's some anticipation. You're not just, you know, randomly calling, can you FaceTime with me? You know, there's anticipation, the same as you would have gotten dressed up to go on a real date. Now you can do that. And speaking of getting dressed up, because I've heard from ladies who are like, but, you know, it's the quarantine and my hair's not done and my blah. Ladies, we have to put some effort into it, right? I didn't look like this 3 hours ago. But I pulled it together. It didn't take much to pull together a really cute shirt. Like, I literally still have my workout pants on, if you really want to know, right? It's like, you don't have to, but the top up here, this is all like sexy, looking good and all that. And I want ladies to put that much of an effort into it. So, you know, making sure that you're ready, making it a real occasion. And then you can do them either via Zoom, you can do them via Skype. You can do them even on FaceTime. Again, I know we're talking about like the FaceTime and how that could be an issue, but I want it to be something planned out, like not just something that you happen upon. Actually put some effort and some planning into these virtual dates, because believe it or not, guys are actually, they're open to them. My lady, the same lady in Dallas, they had another date. They had a virtual ice cream date where they brought their favorite ice cream and they talked about it. So I want people to be creative. I don't want you to feel like, oh, this whole virtual date thing, like it shouldn't be a lesser form of dating. If anything, make it something fun and exciting.
Yeah.
So do you have clients who are actually meeting quality men?
Yes.
During this quarantine?
Because where else are you going to meet them? Back in April, Gayle King made she was quoted and she said, you know, for the first time ever, I feel so single. Like, I feel so single. It's quite daunting. I'm afraid, because most women, especially when we talk about my clientele, right? Professional women who are You know, they are out here killing it in their careers and in all their endeavors. But when it comes to love, it's the thing that's kind of going down, 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 down as they climb, right? We don't make time for it, right? And so we fill our lives with all these other things where, Joy, you would probably be on 16 different fashion events, right? There's so many things that would have been on your calendar, you know, gala season starts, all of those things, but all of that went away. All of that went away. And for a lot of ladies, you finally had that moment to sit with yourself and say, well, damn, I am very single. I am very, very single over here. Very single. And here's the thing, I'm not a woman who preaches, oh, it's wrong to be single. Absolutely not. That's not what Tera preaches, because I understand that there are seasons when we need to be single, when we need to heal our hearts. And single can just be fun. I get it. But I'm talking about those women who I know for a fact have been wanting a relationship and have found every single other thing or reason to not really pursue it. They now have found themselves in a situation where they're like, oh God, you know, you may have been thinking I was going to meet someone at the vineyard this summer. Well, guess what? You can't go to the vineyard this summer. You're going to be stuck at home. And so the alternative is getting with the program and actually doing what women have been doing forever. Hello, like I said, OG of online dating. I met my good husband that way. So for a lot of ladies, this pandemic has really made them realize this is now time to actually make dating a priority, because if not, the world may not open up for another year, you know, God forbid, but it may not open up for a while. And so you don't want to just sit and wait any longer, because that's what they've been doing, is sitting and waiting.
Yeah.
And Tera, you know, when you saying that, I think that women should feel a little bit safer now that this is the means to date, which is good. You don't have to drive somewhere. You don't have to worry that you don't like them, that you have to hide and run to your car when you run to the bathroom or something. So, you know, but I mean, this is such a safe way, and you get to really see the person, you get to meet them. And like your idea about eating the ice cream, I think that's really great too, because then you can even see, you can study manners when you're on a virtual conversation.
If he's eating ice cream with a fork, that ain't who you want to go out with after the pandemic. Like,
yeah, you can see how they eat. You can see that, because the speed with which they eat, Tera, can give you the speed with which they do other things.
Oh,
just remember.
That's good.
Jan, you got to say that one again, because I don't know that everybody heard you. Say it again, Jan. Say it again. Come on.
The speed with which they eat will give you an indicator with the speed with which they do other things.
So is he a slow and steady eater?
Correct.
Or does he gobble it down quickly? Correct. Oh my, I love it.
And two, Tera, the great thing is this, you can see some body language. Let's say you sharing a drink with them, and men and women do, you know, if I had my glass here and I took my stem and I did this with it, you know what that means, girl. If I take my glass and I just kind of rub it here too, so make sure they have something in their hands. Maybe they can toast every now and then try to see if the camera's a little bit further, and they can watch some of the body language of what they do with their drinking glass.
Well, Dan, I don't know if they're not gonna want to socially distance after that. They're gonna be like, I'm coming over, girl.
But it's another avenue that they can check things out, you know, because when we watch couples at, you know, when we do research and watching couples to see if they're a good couple for each other, we might have them at our dinner table and we're trying to figure out, is their eating style similar? Does she gobble up all her meal and then she's sitting there talking with him? And does he eat slowly, or do they eat their salads at the same rate? Because that can kind of let you know something about what's going to happen in that relationship. Even that, the way that they eat and the speed at which they, can give you indicators of what's going on in that relationship.
I never even thought about that. And I've been dating for a long time. I never thought about that.
Now you're going to look at it.
Yeah, and it makes perfect sense. You can, if you think back to, and I'm trying to think, I mean, if you just kind of think back to if a man is like just a sloppy eater or just not kind of uncouth when it comes to that, I think that is indicative of a lot of other things in his life. Yeah.
True. Or if he is not courteous to the waiter,
doesn't
that leave an impression on you? Of course.
And interestingly enough, a few years ago, I wrote an article But I wrote it from a male's perspective because I interviewed like 3 guys and I asked them, what are some of the things that women do? Because what was happening is I had ladies who were going on first dates and they wouldn't get called back for second date. And so I said, okay, ladies, let me talk to a few different guys. And that was one of the things that one of the guys brought up, was that I'm also watching to see how she treats others on this date.
Right.
So if she's rude to the waitress or just, you know, dismissive, that's something that they look at as well, ladies. So it's not just us who's reading body language, they do as well.
For dating in this day and age, what are some of the biggest mistakes that we make, men and women?
Bad pictures, that's the first thing. Because in an online dating world, that's your calling card. That is the first thing that someone is going to see. You talk about body language, you got to have a body on there. You got to have a picture to begin with, because
you don't want to do this. You don't want to do this.
That, or even for the guys, and I pray that there are some guys listening and hopefully we can share it out to them. You got the guys on there with the shades on, Jan. They'll be in the car with their hats. There are a lot of
in the bathroom.
Oh my God, with their chest out. Don't nobody want to see that. Like, it's just, again, and it depends on what you're trying to attract, because let's be real and serious. I deal with people who are looking for a real deal type relationship, right?
Sure.
And we understand that there are folks out there looking for straight up hookups and that kind of thing. So yeah, you're going to find, you know, the ladies with their behind in the shots and all that, and the guys who are there with their chest exposed and you can see the hair on. Like, it's too much. It's way too much. But the biggest mistake I think a lot of people make is having terrible pictures. And then the second biggest is being on the wrong site, being on the wrong dating site. A lot of people, because what happens is you talk to your girlfriend who talked to her friend who talked to her cousin, and they happen to hear about a dating site that was $2.99. And I'm like, girls, if we've not invested anything, that's what you're going to get back. And so you find I find a lot of serious minded women who unfortunately don't reach out to me, but they listen to what someone tells them. And then they're like, oh, well, I went on this site, but I didn't like the men and they were sending me. I'm like, because you should have never been on that site. It really is like grocery shopping. I'm not going to find a prime piece of, you know, rib or steak at the convenience store. They don't sell that there, you know, so you have to make sure you're going to the site that is going to yield you the best results for whatever your needs are. And that's on you, whatever your needs are.
Okay, so because we need specifics here.
Yes.
So if you're serious, the real, you know, looking for connection and real, like the real deal, what sites do you recommend?
They don't pay me to tell their sites. Jan, should I say their sites if these people not paying me for their sites?
Give us one at least.
So I met my husband on Match.com.
Okay.
I met my husband on Match.com.
Okay.
A lot of my clients, hello Match.com. A lot of my clients date on Match.com because I love that we can go in and we can search and we can look for what we want. A lot of times what happens, here's what happens for a lot of ladies. They listen to part of what I say and they get a great picture, right? So they put their great picture on the dating site and then they wait. And they wait, and they wait, and they wait, and they wait. And that's not savvy dating. That is not going to get you anything that you want, because what happens is you find yourself being in the posture of, I'm going to receive whatever comes my way, instead of you saying, I am ambitious. I know what I want. Let me go out here and hunt and gather it myself. Right. And that's when I tell ladies, I sent the message to my husband first. I say that for a few reasons. One, I didn't wait for a site to match me. And two, it also did not change the trajectory of our relationship. He still courted me. Right. All I needed to do was let him know, hey, with Marissa, hey, I'm over here. Do you see me? And the minute he did, hello, here we are, almost. But we've been together 5 years, and I know this is so, but we've been together 5 years and we'll be married 5 years in March of next year. So 5 years later, after that one high, and we're together. And so I think that ladies just sit and wait, and I don't believe in that. In any part of my life, Tera's not sitting back and waiting for anything to happen to her.
Yeah.
Jan. Oh, go
Yeah.
ahead. Go
A
ahead.
couple of points, yeah, that I wanted to make that was so relevant with what she was saying. And one is what we call the likability factor. I mean, even if I'm working with an attorney, I'll let that attorney know if that jury likes the other attorney more than you, I don't care how good you are, you're not going to win the case.
Yep.
So you have to get a likability factor, whether it's in that your picture is fun, that you look fun, and two, that you are approachable. Because you've seen at a party, you go maybe at a bar and there's one girl who's just gorgeous and you think everybody would go to her, but someone's just kind of mediocre. Because then people know, well, she's going to be fun to talk with. It's not like the other one might say to them, well, I don't even have time to talk with you. So likability factor, approachability factor. You were going to say something. I'm just going to say one more thing, but you say yours. Say.
So when she's talking about likability and approachability for online dating, that translates into you having a profile that is written in a way that would attract people to you versus you repelling them. Because a lot of ladies are out there and they wear their hurts, they bring their bags, all of that stuff, and they put it in those profiles. And so you can know what happened to them 10 years ago because they're still dealing with it. And unfortunately, on their profile, it shows up. And so what Jan is saying is exactly right. In the way that translates on a profile is whether or not you come with a great personality that makes him say, damn, I want to meet that lady. I want to have her in my life versus, and I've read this, ladies, I've read it on men's profiles where they say, if you deal with drama or you like to argue or if you're not over your ex, they literally write this in their profiles. Why? Because they've seen women out there who either have those profiles or once they get on the phone with them, that's the energy that they're bringing.
Because Tara, I'm sorry, you're like in the first 4 minutes of meeting someone, we get like a thin slicing effect. You know, like the first moment someone sees you, sees Joy, sees me, they kind of make a little quick determination. Is that person smart? Is that person pretty? Is that person competent? So it's called thin slicing. Malcolm Gladwell had that book called Thin Slicing. So that's the same thing. You know, they may like your picture and come on, but within 4 minutes of talking with you, they will have either given you a check or an X. That's how quick it is. And the other point I wanted to make, there's some research that I had done. It's also in the book. It's like a roadmap to romance. Does the girl actually know what she is looking for? And a way to do that, let me tell you a quick way that you can advise your ladies to do that. And Joy, you can too. You get a sheet of paper and you just list, think of the first little boyfriend you had in first grade that you just kind of liked. You remember that? And you put his name. And then maybe you go to 6th grade and you put his name. Then you go to maybe 9th grade, put his name, and just on your life, you know, put about 6 or 7 who you felt you really, really liked. And then I want you to list some qualities about that person, like your first little boyfriend. Joy, who was your first little boyfriend?
Oh, well, I remember my first kiss. I didn't have a boyfriend until I was in college. I was a late bloomer.
Okay, but when you think about him, what was it about him you liked? Was he athletic? Was he funny? Was he what?
He was brainy. He was a
brainiac. Okay, give me another characteristic. Give me another characteristic.
He was tall. I'm not going to say his name, but
okay, that's okay. So then what I would have you do, because I can remember my first little boyfriend, I liked him because everybody else liked him too. But anyway, so this is what would happen. You'd kind of make this list. You just put 3 or 4 words of things you liked about him. Then you put 3 or 4 words about things you disliked about him. Then go to the second guy who you kind of dated and liked and put some words about him that you like, put some words about him that you dislike, and do that with maybe 4 people or 5 people. And then you start circling the words out of each one of these that you really were attracted to. Okay. And then search the words that you were distracted to or that you didn't like with these. And then you kind of come up with so that's what I really like in a guy. Because at first, I mean, Joy, you must have had a crush on somebody in 4th or 5th grade.
I did, but I was a very shy child.
I don't care if you were shy. Who was somebody you had a crush on? You had a glow crush on somebody in your class.
Okay.
Think about it and then call me tomorrow and let me know.
Yeah, I'll think about it.
Because the qualities that you liked as a little girl are the same qualities you like as a big girl.
Yes.
Interesting.
They are, that is exactly right. That's why sometimes when you hear people talking about like, oh, you pick people who are most like your father or most like those relationships, it's based on that as well, right? Those things that we loved about those men in our life. And for me, just a really a quick, almost, I want to call it a dumb down, but one thing that I also have my ladies do is come up with what are your deal breakers and your negotiables. Yeah. Right? When you're talking about relationship, because what happens for a lot of ladies is you find yourself either going from relationship to relationship to relationship, or either just continuing to fail or meeting the same people because you don't know what you want. You've not spent that time sitting with that list of the guys and the qualities that you liked in them. And then also talking about what are those characteristics that I want in a man, and what are the ones that I'm saying, well, even if he has this, I'm willing to negotiate on it. You know, I had a conversation with a girlfriend yesterday and she was telling me about her list. And she's like, do you think a list is a bad thing? And I'm like, absolutely not. I don't think it's a bad thing because in the Bible, it says, write the vision, make it plain, right? You have to know what you're out here looking for. Now, I understand that some of y'all have a list that even Jesus Christ himself could never live up to. I get it. And that's not the list I'm talking about, ladies. I'm talking about the list that truly does keep you on track. You know, like what qualities do you like about him? I had a vision board in place before I met my husband.
Did you really?
Wow.
Yes. And I could bring it out and show you and check off every single thing on that vision board that came to pass. And so that was my list, if you will. And it wasn't a bad thing because that just meant that kept me focused on what I wanted for my life. God forbid you're walking around just kind of letting life and every day come your way and happen to you. And it's the same thing when we're talking about relationships and meeting people, especially for women. Here's what my average clientele is. She is a woman who is a professional woman. You know, she's educated. For the most part, she has raised her children. Sometimes she's widowed or she's divorced, she's newly single, or she's just spent a lot of time away from the dating scene. And maybe she left when she was 38. And now I get her at 52.
Yeah.
You know how much living in life and changing has happened in those years. So what you wanted then is not necessarily going to be what you want now. And so one of the things that I actually encourage my ladies to do, especially when you talk about in the online arena, is to do practice dates. And I know they're like, well, what's a practice date?
What is a practice date?
A practice date is, so in my webinar, I teach you about the 5 guys that you meet online, right? There are 5 different personalities that
you don't have to give them all because we don't have that kind of time. And
right. Yeah. So, but there are 5 personalities that you are more than likely going to run into. Why do I teach ladies this? Because I know 9 times out of 10, when you meet 4 of them, you're going to want to log off, throw that computer out the window and say, I'm never doing that again. And then you want to come show up at my house. Exactly. Right. So it's like, if I at least warn you, when you see them, you say, oh, that's the one Tara told me about. I'm going to keep on going because number 5, which is my great guy, he's out there. Right. And so at the end of the day, if you don't know what you're looking for, because remember in your 30s, you dated one thing. So the practice dates are really just, you know, hopping on the phone. Maybe he's not all of those things that you, if you said, oh, well, I don't know, like he doesn't necessarily look like who I used to date in the past, but he's got a great profile and he was kind of funny and flirty. That's a practice date. It's okay to talk to him on the phone. It's okay to give him a chance because you just very well may be surprised that this man turns out to be something that was either, you know, greater than you expected, or at the same time, you kind of get to feel that energy. Just like literally, I was like, Joy, we got to get to a telephone boyfriend, and not from a bad place, but just kind of like, Jen, I told her, I said, we got to get you a telephone boyfriend because I just want her to start feeling that energy. The energy of...
So I don't put all my business out in the street. Okay.
but that's what I'm talking about, like just that energy of a new man. And so maybe he won't be the one, but you're like, I had a call with this guy, and I mean, I don't think it's gonna go anywhere, but it was just kind of nice to hear a deep voice on the phone and say my name, like, hello, body language here. He said your name, and what happened when he said your name?
Say my
The
name.
same,
Yes,
the
say
same
my
thing
name.
the same thing that happened to you when the guy rubbed your foot in that
Right? Because if you say, that's what exactly. So it's okay. Again, this goes back to the first thing I said, which was do not take it so seriously,
Sure.
right? Because then you can be open to a practice day. Because guess what? I'm going to laugh on the phone with you. If you're like, girl, I talked to that man and he was talking about blah, blah. Okay, maybe that wasn't him, but you got a funny story out of it. And you got to see what did or didn't do it for you, right?
Mhm. You know what I think is interesting because I can't believe an hour has gone by. Can you believe that? But what I think is interesting is that you're right. What I was looking for and how I was dating in my 20s is much different now, especially now that I'm a mother too. So, and I mentioned to Tara, I said, you know, I got 2 kids and 2 dogs. That's a whole lot, you know?
And what do I say back to you when you say that?
What?
Well, I can't say it online, but I tell her that that's a bunch of you know what. Because what I know,
that's a whole lot.
yes, you have a big life. You have 2 beautiful children. You have 2 beautiful dogs, but you are an accomplished woman. You are beautiful. You bring so much to the table. There is a man right now driving around Houston saying, God, just send me the lady. If she needs a little help, send her my way. Lord, send me a lady who says, you know what, I want a good role model for my kids. There is a man out there who's okay with that. I was a single mom. I had a whole kid. A whole kid when I met my husband. A whole kid.
Okay.
All right, ladies, you know what? I wish we could talk longer. I mean, we can talk longer, but I had committed to this being just an hour. So we probably were going to have to do a part 2.
Yes.
Let's do a part 2.
Yes.
Right? So
I need to know the 5 guys that you meet on the internet from Tara, and I need to tell ladies how to spot when someone's lying to them. So we need to do a part 2.
We got to do part 2. You're sure right. We didn't even
talk about that. Okay, so part 2 is going to be how to spot the lies.
Yes.
And the 5 men you meet on the internet.
And the 5 men you meet on the internet. Okay, all right, ladies, we're going to do this again. Well, thank you, Jan Hargrave, body language expert, world renowned.
That was fantastic.
Tera Stidum, She Date Savvy owner, dating coach extraordinaire. Thank you so much, ladies. Comment quickly, Jan, if people want to reach you and follow you and all that, how do they get you?
My website is my name, janhargrave.com, and all of my 5 books are on there. And on Facebook, it's just Jan Hargrave, and I have an online course that's is janhargrave.com/course, where they can learn everything there is about nonverbal and be an expert just like me.
Fantastic.
Love it.
Fantastic.
Love it, love it, love it.
And Tara, how do we get your information?
You can find me online on Facebook, Instagram, on my website, and it's all She Dates Savvy. You can go and get a copy of my new book, which will be out next week, Smart Girls Still Don't Date Dumb. And definitely join my website. Follow me online because I'll be doing a webinar in August. I've been doing them every month because I want to make sure the ladies are ready to date savvy, even in a pandemic. So follow me so we can get you hooked up.
All right. Well, thank you so much, ladies. Love in the time of a pandemic. It can happen. These women are, you know, they're telling us. So, all right. Thank you so much.
I got calls with other ladies out there.
Okay. And this has been the Joy Hour. So thank you so much. And I will be back next Thursday. Bye. Oh yeah, the wrist. Bye, ladies.
Bye, Joy.
Bye.